Oh, hey there. So, see this here? It's a helmet. Nothing too special, just my personal helmet. Won't be talking about this specifically. But what I will be talking about today is why you and everybody else needs to own one of these. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Mountain Vibes. Thank you so much for tuning in today. So today I'm gonna be going over helmets, the reasons why you definitely need them, and also go over some little tips and what you need to look at when you're actually considering buying a helmet. So without further ado, let's kind of get into why everybody needs a helmet. All right, so the first reason, and pretty much the reason why most people or anybody should buy a helmet, is safety. If you hit your head, you do only have one brain, and all it takes is one little tiny fall, and that's it. You can end up with concussions, you can end up with serious brain injuries, or even death. It's scary as it is to talk about, but helmets could prevent life-threatening injuries like that. So that's kind of the major reason why people should get one. Now, a big thing though is I'm saying that everybody needs a helmet, which is true. If you're doing jumps, if you're doing rails, if you're riding through trees, yes, you're doing a very high risk maneuvers, you're doing a very high risk activity, and with high risk comes high consequences. You hit a tree without a helmet, that's not gonna be good. You land off a jump, hit some ice at a high speed, same thing, not very good. However though, whenever I see parents or anybody else, they'd be like, oh no, I don't need a helmet, I'm just gonna be following my kids. Yeah, but you're keeping your eye on Jimmy over here, and all of a sudden someone comes out over here, hits you, you fall over and hit your head on the ground, the concussions, head injuries, you don't necessarily have to be doing high risk maneuvers or high risk activities in order to get hurt. So this is why pretty much anybody out on the snow needs a helmet. Ice isn't very forgiving to start with. The snow, although it is soft, if you fall over, it's not gonna be that forgiving either as well. Or even when it comes to beginners, you're learning, you don't really have a full grasp of the sport yet. So let's say you catch an edge, you fall over, you don't quite know how to fall, you don't know how to protect your head. So this is where the helmet will actually come in handy. It's kind of scary to see a lot of people that are out there and don't wear them, especially in a lot of the pro videos, so to speak. You see these guys doing street rails, massive jumps, and they're not wearing helmets, and I'm just thinking what kind of an example are you setting for kids? It's you go to buy little Bobby a helmet, or Jimmy, or whoever, Sally, and I don't know, it's just mind-boggling at how oh, it's not cool because so-and-so doesn't wear a helmet. And quite frankly, I think these guys are setting a very poor example. All right, so then another few benefits of wearing a helmet aside from safety that people don't necessarily really consider is that, these things actually keep you fairly warm. Let's say if you're on a chairlift all day, or you're riding, it's snowing, it's kind of sleet, it's rain or whatever, if you're wearing just a beanie, that thing's gonna get soaked. Therefore, you're gonna get cold. This, at least, it will protect you from the elements a lot better than wearing just the tube. And as well, it is going to keep you dry, therefore you're going to be more comfortable, so therefore you're going to have a much better time on the hill. So aside from safety, this thing will actually help keep you warm, keep you dry, and give you much better attitude while you're out on the hill as well. All right, so let's just go over a few things of what you should look for when you're actually shopping for a helmet. So the first thing is the type of construction. So you have your in mold and your injected hard shell. So this particular helmet here, this is what they consider an in mold. So let's see if my camera can pick this up here. So if you look at it, it's actually the foam has actually been injected into the shell. So the plus side to that is that it's able to make the helmet a lot lighter, and it's able to provide a lot better ventilation. So if you're out and you actually are starting to sweat or you start to heat up, you can open up the vents on most helmets, and so that kind of help control it. Or same thing, on a cold day, close the vents, it'll keep you nice and warm. Now, you will pay a little bit more for something like this, but you do kind of get a few more bells and whistles. Now on the other side, the injected hard shell is essentially a two-piece helmet. So what it is, you'll have the shell itself and then the actual injected foam, and what they do is they just kind of put them together. So these are going to be more your price point sort of helmets. They're not going to be a little bit heavier. They won't necessarily provide a lot of ventilation, but at the same time, they still will protect your head. So if you're not really looking to spend a lot of money and you're wondering why one costs a little bit more than the other, chances are it is the construction of the helmet. All right, so now I'm just gonna go over like, what you'd look for like when you're actually trying a helmet on. So pretty much every helmet or every manufacturer, they'll fit slightly differently. So depending on the shape of your head, you may have to try on a few different styles, a few different brands, just to make sure that it fits. So for myself personally, like my head is technically too big for a small, but kind of too small for a medium. But what I have with mine is I've got this little dial in the back. So it allows the actual inner part of the helmet to kind of shape or resize itself to my head. So see, this is it all the way open. It's a little too big. Crank the dial back a little bit, and now it's not really going anywhere. So you kind of want to make sure that you have a really nice snug fit, but at the same time, you don't want to make sure that your head's getting crushed, because if it's uncomfortable, you're just not going to want to wear it. You don't wear it, you fall, you hit your head, game over. All right, then another tip that I would suggest is if you actually own a pair of goggles, take them with you, because sometimes some helmets may sit a little bit lower, or even let's say your goggles may fit a little bit larger for your face. So what you would want to do is, say take the helmet, take this, so hold on, and just kind of try it on, because like you want to make sure that there's actually no gap going on up here, because say if you actually have something like this, the helmet's not going to be fitting properly. You're going to end up with like a really cold forehead anyway. So take some goggles with you, try the helmet on, make sure you get a nice snug fit. And at the same time, if the goggles are too big or even if the helmet's almost too small, you don't want it to be pushing down on your nose, because then you're not going to be able to breathe properly anyway. And another big thing when it comes to actually wearing a helmet in terms of the fit, one of my biggest pet peeves is when people wear like their beanie underneath their helmet. Their biggest complaints like, oh, but my head gets cold, or it's going to be cold where I'm going. As I said earlier, like these helmets, like they prevent your head from getting wet. They kind of help maintain a lot of the heat inside. So you really don't need one of these. And the problem is when you actually wear a beanie underneath your helmet, it doesn't sit properly. So let me quickly demonstrate here. So if I do this, roll this up, make this as big as possible, put this on, like, it's sitting way too high on my head, so if I were to fall over, it's not going to really do anything, and it could potentially just roll off as well. So instead of wearing a beanie, what I would suggest is like, buy like a simple balaclava like this. The great thing about it is they're really nice and thin, and so although it's going to insulate your head, it's going to provide your helmet with a much better fit on top of your head as well. So keep that in mind. If you think that you're going to be getting cold, get a balaclava, ditch the beanie. Okay, cool. So now I'm just going to go over just a quick few little like added features that you may find in helmets. Some of them will come with it, some of them won't. Generally these are just like added bells and whistles which you will be paying extra for. So some helmets, not this one in particular, but a lot of helmet companies nowadays, they're kind of integrating like an action cam mount. So what they've done is they will actually shape the helmet for an actual mount to slide into it, so that way you don't have to actually like consistently glue different mounts to the top of your helmet and stuff like that. Alright, so now just a quick little like added safety feature, which I'm actually seeing in more and more helmets these days now, is called the MIP system. So that stands for Multi-Directional Impact Protection System. Now essentially all it really is that you can kind of see this little yellow shim that's in here. This kind of moves around inside the helmet, and the purpose of this is this yellow part is allowing the helmet to stay secure on your head while the shell actually rotates. Now the whole purpose of that is so that when you actually fall, the helmet's going to be able to roll into the fall a little bit better, kind of dispersing the blows. Instead of having the impact in one section, it kind of helps expand it out a little bit better, hopefully reducing the impact, hopefully reducing any sort of trauma to your head. And then of course there's ventilation. As I was saying, that my particular helmet doesn't have it, but some helmets will come with the option to actually open and close the vents. As I was saying earlier, if you're cold, you can kind of just close them up. If you're getting warm, open them up, get a little bit more flow going through there. That's just kind of like a nice added sort of comfort. All right, and just a few other like big things to consider, not necessarily when buying the helmets, but a lot of helmets are single impact, and meaning that is if you hit your head hard enough, let's say if you end up with like a concussion or like a really serious headache or anything like that, chances are your helmet's been compromised, and sad as it say, throw it out, you got to get a new one, because if it's compromised and the next time you fall, it's going to do nothing for you. And just another thing to consider is, like, you know, you should really be changing your helmet up like every 3 to 5 years. You know, sometimes you might drop it on the ground, you might bang it against a few other things, and even just like normal wear and tear, really. You know, it's your head, like it's your brain, it's like pretty much what makes you function, and you really want to make sure that that's all protected. And so before I let you go here, I just want you to keep in mind that, you know, just because you're wearing a helmet, it's not going to make you invincible. Yes, it's going to protect your head, but helmets are only designed to withstand certain types of impacts. So just remember to ski and snowboard within your limits, keep an eye on your friends, but the main thing is go out there, have fun, enjoy your time on the hill. And with that being said, hit that button if you like this video, slash it if it's something that you're into, subscribe if you are not already. Don't forget to support your local ski and snowboard shop. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video. Hair's gonna look lovely for this one.